Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para darle alegría y cosas buenas. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, hey Macarena.
Good day everyone, I am Tinoy and welcome to my vlog. Today I will discuss to you what is conceptual framework. A conceptual framework illustrates the expected relationship between your variables. It defines the relevant objectives for your research and process and maps out how they come together to draw coherent conclusions. Tips that you should construct your conceptual framework. Before you begin collecting your data, conceptual frameworks are often represented in a visual format and illustrate cause and effect relationships. Keep reading for a step-by-step guide to help you construct your own conceptual framework. Developing a conceptual framework in research. Step 1. Choose your research question. Step 2. Open independent variables. Step 3. Visual your cause and effect relationship. And step 4. Identify other influencing variables. Frequently asked questions about conceptual framework of models. Developing a conceptual framework in research. A conceptual framework is a representation of the relationship you expected to see between your variables, or the characteristics or properties that you want to study. Conceptual frameworks can be written or visual and are generally developed based on a literature review of existing studies about your topics. Step 1. Choose your research question. Your research question guides your work by determining exactly what do you want to find out, giving your research process a clear focus. Example. Research questions. Let's say you want to study whether students who study more hours get higher exam scores. To investigate these questions, you can use methods such as an experiment or a survey to test the relationships between variables. However, before you start collecting your data, consider constructing a conceptual framework. This will help you to map out which variables you will measure and how you expected them to relate to one another. Step 2. Select your independent and dependent variables. In order to move forward with your research question and test a cause and effective relationships, you must first identify at least 2 K variables. Your independent and dependent variables. Examples of variables. The expected cause hours of study is the independent variable. The predictor or explanatory variable. The expected effect of exam score is the dependent variable, while the response or outcome variable In other words, you can suspect that exam score depends on hours of study. Thus, your hypothesis will be that the more hours a student studies, the better they will do on the exam. Note that casual relationships often involve several independent variables that affect the dependent variable. For the purpose of this example, we'll just work with one independent variable, hours of study. Note that casual relationships often involve several independent variables that affect the dependent variable. For the purpose of this example, we'll work with just one independent variables, hours of study. Step 3. Visual your casual and effect relationship that you figure out your research question and variables. The first step in designing your conceptual framework is visualizing your expected cause and effect relationship. We demonstrate using basic designs, components of axes, and arrows. Here, each variable appears on a box to indicate a causal relationship. Arrow should start from the independent variable, the cause, and the point to the dependent variable, the effect. Step 4. Identify other influencing variables. It's crucial to identify other variables that can influence the relationship between your independent and dependent variable. Early in your research process, some common variables to include are moderating, mediating, and control variables. Moderating variables or moderators alter the effect that an independent variable has on a dependent variable. In other words, moderators change the effect component of the cause and effect relationship. Example, moderator will expect that the number of hours a student studies is related to their exam score, i.e., the more you prepare, the higher your score will be. Let's add the moderator IQ. Here, a student's IQ level can change the effect that the variables hours of study has on the exam score. The higher the IQ, the fewer hours of study are needed to do well on the exam. We expected that the IQ moderator moderates the effect that the number of study hours has on the exam scores.